Welcome to Global Citizen Life podcast. Today on the show, we have Marc-John Brown, who is originally from Scotland, but now spends most of his time, or at least part of the time, in Peru. So, welcome to the show, Marc-John.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
So, you've been traveling now for many, many years. It started at a young age for you. And now things are different, obviously, because you have your wife and kids. And so let's kind of just go back to that very beginning when you first started traveling. What made you first want to leave Scotland and go travel abroad?
Uh, it was a burning sense of curiosity um, for South America because I grew up in my home city of Edinburgh from the age of 11 with South Americans, with an Argentinian, and then from age 13 with a Paraguayan. And like by age 15, I had become, already pretty much bilingual. Um, and that's what like woke up this whole curiosity, this whole hunger for travel. And yeah, that was really the spark for all of it to begin.
So it's interesting because I think you're one of the few for sure, and maybe even only one that has mentioned that it was initially that the international community came to you, which then sparked that desire, which is great because we often think, especially at a young age, this is where I grew up, this is where I live, this is where I'll be kind of forever. But meeting those kids at a young age really got you going into thinking, well, I don't have to stay here. I can go because they have done it.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah, that's exactly. It was at least part of my thought patterns, and I think that I followed that line of curiosity as well. Even being here in my home city of Edinburgh, I followed that line of curiosity and ended up, like age, I don't know, age 16, 17, like hanging out for a little bit at a backpacker hostel in my home city with like Canadians and Americans, and people from all over the world, Australians as well. And yeah, for sure, like they would tell me, and I would pick their brains, like, how are you making this work? How does this work? Like, how are you making money? How do you structure your finances? Like, what do you carry with you? How big is your backpack? Some would be like, oh, have suitcases and a backpack. Others would be like, oh yeah, just 150-liter backpack. You only need one sweater, three pairs of trousers, that kind of thing. So yeah.
Well, it is true. We don't really need a lot. And especially when we travel, we realize how much stuff that we have and we don't. And I'm sure there's lots of listeners, and I myself have been part of that where I've packed the suitcases for even like a 3-week trip or something, and I don't even use or wear some of the things that I've packed within my luggage. So I've definitely gotten better over the years of that. And just thinking what do we really need? Obviously, it depends on the type of travel that we're doing and if we're just going by ourselves. So you started out with backpacking when you first left Edinburgh um, many years ago. And so tell us about your first kind of trips that you made and how that evolved into where you're at now.
Ooh, yeah. That I mean, that's quite a long journey because yeah, we're talking like, you know, close to 20 years ago. Like, um, I think the first major, apart from like family holidays when I was younger to like Greece and to Italy and to Spain and whatever, but um, actual traveling trips, the first one that really sticks out for me is when I was about 17 and I went with my Paraguayan friend who lived in Edinburgh and had a couple of his old high school mates who their father was from Belgium and they lived half of their time in Belgium. And so I went and I lived with this. Sorry, I didn't live. I stayed for like a few days, a few nights with this family in Belgium, this Paraguayan Belgian family in Belgium with my Paraguayan friend from Edinburgh. This was age 17. And the purpose of that trip was to go to a music festival in Holland. So we flew from Edinburgh to Holland with a bunch of Paraguayans, landed in Belgium, from Edinburgh to Belgium to go to a music festival in Holland. That's the first thing that really like sticks out. But then, of course, the biggest one is when I was, sitting in the classrooms of my university here in Scotland, studying Spanish and Latin American studies, and just feeling this like total itch in my being to just get out to South America and stop studying it from afar and actually live in it and start studying it from, in person, live. And so I moved to Argentina at age 19. And I lived I had the intention of living, for 6 months originally in Argentina, but then after only 4 months, I extended my flights home to 1 whole year. And then I went on the adventure of a lifetime, because I had a lot of things happening in my life over there. Like I had some big kind of wake up calls, and really got connected to what was important to me in life. And so age 19, I hitchhiked from Argentina through Chile and Bolivia into Peru, which is where I met my wife, still age 19. And yeah, we got married. We got married on my 20th birthday, actually. And from there, like, we continued this spirit of traveling. We traveled South Korea. We were in the Far East for more than 2 months. Traveled through China from Korea into Malaysia. And then we came back from that trip pregnant, and things began to change. And of course, when you have kids, like, yeah, focus. Not maybe not. Some people would say, like, you don't have to take your focus off of traveling internationally. We do have friends that travel internationally, even with growing families, like constantly on the move. But certainly for us, our vision began to change a little bit, and we started to really want to, like, find that energy of nesting and rooting, and also, as the years pass by, like, especially as the kids, like, get old enough to, like, articulate themselves properly, and articulate their needs, and you start thinking, about their future. You start thinking about, like, financial security, financial abundance, how to, grow wealth, as well, whilst at the same time answering this important question: how do we continue to live, internationally? And one of the most important things for us is for my wife, who is Peruvian, to be able to regularly, or fairly regularly, see her family, and for us to spend time with her family fairly regularly. So now what we've got is a dynamic where we get to spend, at this point of our lives, and I say at this point of our lives because over the past 15, almost 16 years of marriage, it has changed multiple times where, we'll be spending different periods of time in different places. But at this stage of our life, for the past, I don't know, 4 years or something, we're spending, we lived for 1 whole year between 2021 and 2022 in Peru, 1 whole year. And at this stage of our life, we're living 6 to 8, like 2 months of the year, basically. We're living 2 months of the year over in Peru, down in Peru. And the way that we do that is well, we have a business model that helps us finance it, obviously. We run retreats in Peru, where we take groups of people down there. And that helps us, yeah, we go for work, but then once we're finished our work, we get time to spend with my wife's family. And that's the way things stand at the moment. We have visions, we have visions and desires for expansion and continuing to expand that international lifestyle, but that's where we're at right now. Yeah.
And that's fantastic. And you brought up a few things that I think are really key, is where you're at this stage. because I talk to so many different people who want to move, who have moved, and are unsure. Um, and and as you said too, like you have friends and you know people that move constantly, and so there's no one right or wrong way to live an international lifestyle or be a global citizen. Everybody goes through different stages of life. So before kids, with kids, after kids. I mean, those are just three main stages right there. And I find too, just with our age, things change, right? Like a lot of backpacking and things like that. And then eventually some people don't want to do the backpacking lifestyle anymore and they want to do more hotels or the glamping style, which is fine and it's another way. And then those who move abroad full time, those who move abroad part time. I mean, there's so many different ways to have the lifestyle, and that's why I like talking to so many different people, is because everybody does it differently and everybody does what works for them. And there is no right way. Like the way that I've done it won't work for a lot of people. I know people that love traveling with their kids and bringing them and living in different destinations for a few years at a time, and then others that have the same, you know, where they want to put down more roots, maybe not quite do as much while the kids are in school, or at the early school ages, they still travel quite a bit, but once they get to mid school, high school, they'll travel less and move around less because of just having those roots for kids. So it's great because there is no one size fits all.
Right. That's the beauty of life right there.
Absolutely. And so right now, how old are your kids now?
At the time of recording, September 2024, my son is going to be 4 in 2 months. He'll be 4 on the 21st of November 2024. And my daughter, she has just turned 11. She just turned 11 last Friday, actually, just less
Okay.
than a week ago. So yeah, 3.5 and 11, so to speak, or almost 4 and 11. Yeah.
Okay. And so the younger one obviously doesn't have much input because he's still quite small. But what does your daughter think about the kind of moving back and forth and the travel? What types of conversations have you had with her to, you know, respect how she feels, but obviously know she's still a child at the same point?
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic question, and it's been huge. It's been huge on in our life, even from, like I said earlier, like children being able to express their needs and tell us how they feel and like what they want and whatever. So I think we lived for 1 year in Peru between my daughter's um eighth and ninth year, right? And in that year, it just didn't work for her. Like it didn't work for her very well. And in fact, actually, that was one of the reasons that we decided to come back and live most of the year for now in Scotland. Um, and then we went to we facilitated. We were out for another 2 months last year in 2023, and we didn't take our daughter with us. So she was what? She was 10. Yeah, still 10. Yeah. No, 9 going on 10, right? Yeah, 9 going on 10. 9 almost 10.
Mhm.
Um and we didn't take her with us, right? And what led us to that was an ex like a series of extensive conversations and explorations with her, where she multiple times expressed her uh disagreement with going to Peru. She didn't want to go back to Peru at that time. um she didn't feel good about it, and so we sat down with her and we went through all the options, and time again brought her back to like, you not coming means that we're not going to be able to do this. You're not going to be able to see this person. We're not going to be around for 2 months. Like if if you're going to stay here in Scotland, um, taking into account all of those things, eventually we came to the conclusion that, okay, we're going to create an environment for our daughter where she can stay behind and experience what it is to, you know, well, be the architect of her life, and have her, decisions respected, uh, even at that young age, like, to really kind of have an experience of like, um, yeah, really like taking responsibility for your decisions, that was a really, really big decision in our life, and I really feel that it's paid off big time for us. So we hired a nanny, an au pair, who then worked in like collaboration with my parents and about 5 or 6 of our like closest friends. And everybody was on board, so we had to set that up we had to set this whole scene. 5 or 6 of our friends, an international au pair drafted in, and my parents, their grandparents, weaving their way in and out of that scene. Um, that's a kind of huge thing, right? Like,
That is a lot. It's a lot of planning and going through a lot of potential situations or things that may occur, and of course dealing with things that we just don't think about, right? There's always stuff that we don't think about that comes up, but it's a lot of, yeah, it definitely is a lot of planning.
yep, so much planning and organization, and money, and investment, significant investment as well. Um, but that's really paid off, because like, hey, we're at the time of recording, in 2 months we'll be flying back to Peru to deliver our next retreat in December, and our daughter is on board. She's coming with us, and I think that it really helped her to gain that contrast, and see the value of her family unit, in her life. Which is a beautiful thing, it's a beautiful thing, and I really feel like it's helped, her to kind of cultivate a real sense of self, you know. And now at age 11, wow, she's coming out with things that we're just like, what? Like, really? Like, she's coming out with that thing that is showing this level of awareness in life, like, um, yeah. And so we're quite happy with that. And that's how we deal with that. Just each bridge is crossed as it appears, with like strong levels of communication, putting everybody's needs on the table and seeing how we can have everybody's needs met, um, whilst keeping in mind the, higher fundamental need of the integrity of our family, right?
Yeah, and I mean, like that, it must have been quite an experience for her. And I mean, it just comes also back to how many times, like, it doesn't matter what somebody tells us, unless we experience it ourselves. Like, sometimes we just need to experience things ourselves, because reading about it, listening about it, hearing about it, like, it just, that feeling isn't there. So we don't quite get it. And I'm sure on so many different levels with her, part was she was making a decision for herself. So that made her feel independent, probably even feel grown up a little bit, even though she was still quite young. And then the consequences of that decision. And I don't mean consequences in a negative way, just the results from the decisions that are made. And perhaps through the time she may have thought, "Ooh, like this has been a really long time." Because for us as adults, time goes by fairly quickly. And of course, I'm sure that you missed her and things like that. But 2 months goes by fairly quickly for us. But I remember when I was a kid, 2 months was forever. Days were so long, weeks were long. And so it must have really felt like a long time. And through that time, though, I'm sure she matured and realized and had time to reflect of, when I make decisions, even though you've talked about all the potential things that could happen, we don't really know our feelings and how we're really going to feel towards those things that are going to happen.
Right. Yeah. Until they happen, right?
That's right. That's right. Like at first could be, I don't want to go. I'll stay here. I'll have so much more fun. It'll be great. We all, as kids, that's what we think when we're away from our parents. It'll be so much fun and great, and I'll get to do more of what I want. And then they're realizing without that, the family unit and not being around and missing everybody, changed her perspective.
Right.
But what an opportunity for her, right? To be like, okay, well, this is what you want. We'll make it work. And then how now she's happy to be going with you guys this time.
Yeah, and very much looking forward to seeing her Peruvian grandparents as well, which is
Hmm,
special.
absolutely. And so is the reason that you picked Peru to do the retreats and things, is it partly because your wife's family's there and it just helped made it a little bit easier and more into and in a way less travel and movement, because you could have went to Costa Rica or so many other nearby countries that are known for doing retreats.
Yeah, yeah, that was a factor as well. It is a factor, and the fact that we can have childcare available as well. But I mean, it's not the whole package. It's not the whole thing. It's not the whole reason why. Part of a big part of the reason why is because we work with ancestral plant medicines. These are the types of retreats that we facilitate and that we offer. And a big part of our ethos and what we do is to work ethically and responsibly with the living indigenous populations who are like the original carriers of the medicines that we use. And the lineages that we work with and we apprentice with, they're also Peruvian, right? They're also based in the Peruvian Amazon jungle. Okay, we have some of the indigenous populations that we work with up in Colombia, some in Brazil, but like the core, let's say, family of tribes and populations that we work with, they're based in Peru. And the plant medicines that we use, the specific mixtures of plant medicines that we use as well, are Peruvian. So that plays a big that's probably, yeah, if we say 50-50, like 50% because we've got family and childcare there, and 50% because it's the home of the traditions that we kind of work with.
Right. Well, that makes sense, and it works. It's a win-win-win all around for everybody with that. So when do you run your retreats? If people were interested in checking them out, where can they find more information on them? You're only there a couple of months out of the year, so it is limited spots and time, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. We limit them to 20 people. Right
Okay.
now, for the one coming up in November, I think we've got about 5 or 6 spots left. So yeah, fairly swiftly selling out. I'm very confident that we'll sell out at 20 people, 20 clients. Anybody interested can go to our website, nativewisdomhub.com. Nativewisdomhub.com. No funny spelling. Native, Native, wisdom, just as it is, WISDOM, and hub, HUB.com. There's a little tab in the top right of the website that says retreats. If you click on that, you can see the next retreat that we've got coming up, which, again, at the time of recording this one, is in 3 months, December 2024.
Excellent. And so do you hold retreats generally December, January is the time that you are in Peru? Or do you
Not
switch, or just some
necessarily.
years you switch it up?
We switch it up. 2023 it was
Okay.
March. 2023 it was March to May. This year it's December. No, like November to January. And then next year we're looking at July. And but in fact, here's the thing, and I don't want to like drop another bomb in the conversation, but we are in conversations, like seriously considering potentially relocating again to Medellin in Colombia.
Oh, yes. Medellin, very popular destination for a lot of expats to be moving to.
Right. Yes, and we have a whole tribe of people over there, and it's right next to Peru. It's right next door to Peru. And
Mhm.
also Colombia has, a whole bunch of its own like indigenous tribes and populations that we, have relationships with and may be able to work with as well. So, but whether or not that materializes, whether or not we decide to move into relocating to Medellin, Colombia, next year, 2025, we are looking at the trip being July. So probably June to August or July to September next year,
Okay.
2025.
Great, great. Well, you're very much like me of I'm looking to relocate again in next year. Not really sure where. Um, but we'll see. I've got a few places in mind, but I'm not 100% yet. I've got to go check them out. But again, that's part of the lifestyle is we're never stuck in one place, and we can be in multiple places, kind of back and forth sometimes, or one place for a few years and another. Um, I enjoy generally I split my time between Spain and Montenegro. Um, Montenegro I like, but it's too quiet for me. Like it's more of a vacation place to go relax, not as much for me to live. So I need somewhere. And as we were talking earlier, I just recently had a couple surgeries, and so that really has kind of pushed that and it's been in my mind for a bit, but that sense of community because I do travel a lot. And so over about the last year or so, I've been thinking about moving. So I'm like, just need to have more roots somewhere, a bit more sense of community, those people around. And then having this happen, it just kind of pushes that a little bit more. And that's just, as we talked earlier, stages of life, phases
Right.
that we go through, chapters that we're at.
Yeah.
And and so when people are unsure where to go or what to do, obviously to go check out a place for a bit, but I always say just go and try. You're never stuck. And even if you just say, okay, I'm gonna go here for a year. And especially if you have kids, I think of like the school year, unless you're doing homeschooling, then you have more flexibility. So it depends a little bit on that for different people. But you can go anywhere and try it for a year and you love it, you stay longer. And if you don't, try somewhere else. We're never stuck in any one place. And there's so many amazing places around the world to live and be part of the culture and learn new things and different foods and everything. I think it's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. When you say Montenegro, you mean Serbia,
Yes.
Montenegro.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in it's north of so east of Italy, and then north of we have Greece, Albania, tiny Montenegro, then Bosnia above it. And a lot of people are not aware of Montenegro. It's because it is so small. Population of the entire country is roughly 650,000 people. So
Wow.
it's tiny, but it's so beautiful. Like, I do love being there. It's so beautiful, but for me, I just get bored.
Right.
So I love it because I'm in Spain and usually in Barcelona, and it's busy and there's millions of people and tourists and everything. And it's great for a long time. I love it, but then I just get tired of so many people all the time. And then I go to Montenegro and chill out, relax, love it, get bored, and either travel somewhere else or go back to Barcelona. So that's kind of the lifestyle that works for me. I love that balance of busy, tons of stuff to do, always stuff going on. And then after I'm like, I need a little break. I just want to chill out, get caught up with work, just relax, do that. And then also it's like, okay, I need more. So for
Right.
me, it's a back and forth. And that's what works for me. I know it's not for everybody. Everybody has their own way, but that's the great thing about international living is, we can set it up whatever way works for us at whichever stage of life that we're in.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that at this stage of life where I'm at right now, what I'm seeking to cultivate is to continue having a strong connection to Wi-Fi and good internet and like modern technology as well, whilst also having the chance to be deeply immersed in nature. Which I
Yeah.
think is one of the things that is drawing us to Medellin because Medellin has good infrastructure, but is also like super, I mean, you only have to go 1 hour away from Medellin to the east. Well, in any direction really, and you're like smothered in nature and you don't
Yeah.
lose. the quality of the internet connection as well. So I think that's yeah, for sure. Like you know, you can see I have my plants like next to
Mhm.
me. If
Well,
I could
nature's
sit
it's
all
very
around
good
them,
for us, right? They say that we should be in nature. It's good energy for us. We should walk in bare feet on the dirt, the grass, the ground every day for energy connection. And it really just naturally, they say when people go for walks and hikes, it just lowers their blood pressure. It's more relaxing. And I agree. I love nature. That's one of the things I do love about Montenegro where I'm at there. My place is a 10-minute walk to the sea. And when I'm walking back, we're surrounded by mountains. So there's hiking and everything right there. Where Barcelona is not too bad. I mean, about an hour and a half, and you can be getting into the kind of the foothills of the Pyrenees and things like that. So it's still a pretty good location for that as well. But yeah, I definitely love being in cities for part of the time. But I also love getting out of the cities and being in nature as well.
yeah, yeah. Finding that balance between both is like the sweet spot, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Marc-John, I just want to say thank you very much for your time. I'll be sure to put the links in the show notes. So everybody who's interested in checking out any of your retreats, I'm sure they would be fascinating to attend. But they can definitely get those links in the show notes and easily connect with you.
Yep, yep, for sure. And anybody that's interested in anything that we do, you know, we teach, we coach, we mentor, we provide some like level of business coaching and purpose coaching as well. Check out our website, nativewisdomhub.com. And you know, what's the cool thing is that anybody who's listening to this podcast is kind of getting a little bit of a behind the scenes look at, you know, the lifestyle that business that they're looking at on the website nativewisdomhub.com provides us with, right? So yeah, anybody wants to have a chat about that, feel free to reach out. You can hit us up on the website, or I'll leave you my Instagram and Facebook handles as well. And please feel free to reach out. We're here to help and support the world be a happier, freer place.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.